All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Back again.
This time, we're going to be talking about OSHA, Standard 1926.1205.
Ooh.
And specifically, the permit-required confined space entry.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This is something that obviously, a lot of safety professionals out there are dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you know it. And
So let's just jump right in.
yeah, let's get into it.
So, the standard's pretty clear. Before anybody even thinks about going into a confined space,
Yeah,
you need a completed entry permit.
absolutely. And it's important to remember, it's not just about having a piece of paper, right? It's about the process.
Right. And what does that process look like?
Yeah, so think of it like, like a safety contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
documentation that the entry employer has gone through all the necessary steps that are outlined in 1926.1204.
Right. So they've checked the atmosphere, they've checked the ventilation, they've got rescue procedures in place.
All that good stuff, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so that's what that permit's all about.
Yeah, and the standard even gets into specifics, right?
Okay.
Like who signs off on this thing and where it needs to be posted.
Okay, well, let's talk about that then. So who signs off on it?
So the entry supervisor.
Okay.
The person who is directly responsible for that team's safety.
Right.
They're the one that has to put their John Hancock on that permit.
Gotcha.
And you can't just tuck it away in a file somewhere.
Right.
The standard is very specific.
Yeah.
It needs to be posted right there at the entry portal.
Okay.
So somewhere that is equally accessible to everybody.
Especially the people that are going in.
Exactly right. So everybody involved can look at this thing and say, okay, yep, those pre-entry preparations, they were actually done.
So it's about transparency.
It's transparency.
And making sure that everybody's literally on the same page.
On the same page, yeah, 100%.
Okay, now here's where it starts to get interesting for me.
Okay.
The standard talks about time limits for these permits.
Yeah.
So it's not just a one and done kind of deal.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it's really helpful to kind of understand the why behind the rule.
Okay.
So let's say, you've got a permit for daytime work, right? You're going to be in this confined space during daylight hours.
Yeah.
But then, stuff happens, there's delays,
Right.
and the work stretches into the night.
Okay.
Well, conditions can change drastically, right?
Right, like visibility.
Visibility, temperatures, even the potential hazards, right?
Yeah.
So that original permit, it might not be valid anymore because it doesn't reflect what's actually happening in that space.
So it's a snapshot in time almost.
Yeah, it's a snapshot in time of the safety of that space at that specific time.
At that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if something unexpected happens
Yeah.
while the team's in there?
So the standard actually outlines 3 different scenarios.
Okay.
Where the entry supervisor has to take action.
Okay.
They may have to cancel the permit entirely.
Like if there's a sudden weather change.
Exactly, yeah. Like a sudden weather change rolls in that could, introduce a whole bunch of new hazards.
Yeah, okay.
Or they might have to reassess the space before they allow anyone back in.
Okay.
So, say if there was a minor equipment malfunction or something like that. They've got to go back, double check everything, make sure it's still safe.
So again, it's about being dynamic and reacting to the situation.
Exactly. It's all about adapting to those changing conditions.
Right. And that entry supervisor needs to be empowered to make those judgment calls.
100%, yeah.
And not just stick to a piece of paper because things have changed.
Right. They have to use their bot judgment.
Okay. What happens after everybody's out?
Ooh, good question.
Do we just throw those permits away?
I wish it was that easy, right?
No.
No, this is where the real learning happens.
Okay.
So 1926.1205 requires you to keep those canceled permits for at least a year.
At least a year. Go.
And it's not just for bureaucratic reasons, right? It's about analysis.
Okay.
Did everything go smoothly?
Right.
Were there any hiccups?
Were there any close calls?
Yeah, any close calls. You can spot trends, maybe identify some potential issues that you didn't even notice in the moment.
Right.
And then you can use all that to refine your confined space program, make it even better.
So you're using those permits almost as safety data.
Exactly, yeah. Turn them into valuable data points.
That's a great point.
And to make it even more useful, the standard actually says to write down any problems that you encounter.
Directly on the permit.
Directly on the permit, yeah.
Wow.
So the information is right there. It's easy to find.
Easy to access.
Everybody can see it. Everybody can learn from it.
So it's about continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement and proactive safety.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So to everybody listening out there, that entry permit.
Yeah.
It's not just a form.
It's like a living, breathing safety document.
It's a tool, you know?
Yeah.
It helps you communicate.
Right.
It helps you hold everybody accountable.
It's a record that you can learn from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I think the big takeaway here is that compliance isn't just about checking boxes.
Yeah.
It's about understanding why those boxes are there in the first place.
Right.
And then you can use that knowledge
Right.
to really keep your team safe in those real world situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out there on the job site.
Now, here's something I want everybody to think about as they go back out to their jobs.
Okay.
We've been talking about reassessing the space when the conditions change, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what are some of those like less obvious cues
Ooh.
that maybe aren't a big red flag,
Yeah.
but maybe you should take a closer look? So like, I don't know, maybe a slight shift in air quality, maybe an unusual sound from the equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
If something feels off,
Yeah.
it's better to stop.
Absolutely.
Take a closer look.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Always err on the side of caution.
Always.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great.
Yeah, this was a good one.
For everybody out there, stay safe.
Be careful out there.
We'll see you next time
See ya.
for another deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.